Alright guys, we are back at it again with another showdown between the Tomb Kings led by SETTRA the Imperishable and the Warriors of Chaos, who are going to be led by Archaon the Sometimes Chosen. So in this match, I wanted to have a build that was a bit more of a hybrid build. So rather than going very construct heavy and using like the Sphinx of Usef and Iroh Titans and things like that, I wanted to have a very light construct presence. So in total I do have two groups of Ushabti here, which I think are a very good answer against Chaos, infantry in general. They do very well against Forsaken. The one thing they might struggle with would be like elite halberds, but honestly against like most of the great weapon infantry or even against Marauders with their bonus versus infantry, they're going to do a pretty good job. So a lot of times Chaos players are also going to bring a bunch of throwing axes and other tools for taking out Ushabti great bows. As such, I decided to get some skeleton archers here, the Blessed Legion of Demonetization in the middle, and then one more group of regular skeletons on the far side. So very similar to, I would say, the Goblin firing line, using the Rusty Airs and things like that. So in the front, we do have a relatively weak front line. We have two groups of skeleton warriors on the periphery, but as you guys can see, I did allocate a group of Ushabti to protect both of those, and even if the skeletons do go down relatively quick, the Ushabti can definitely hold that front line. I mean, they don't have the best melee stats. Well, I guess they're actually pretty good. For some reason, I thought their melee defense was lower, but it's actually 40 with 100 armor. So yeah, they can definitely hold for quite some time. In the center, I do have the Kepra Guard, which are the Regiment of Renown of the Tomb Guard, and these guys are very similar to the Stearnsmen. And I find that they can trade up very effectively. If they're fighting like Chosen or other elite troops with their regeneration, 43, 41, 47 combat stats, they can definitely do a pretty good job. For our leadership, and this is one of my favorite combinations for the Tomb Kings. So, like I said, a lot of people are going to be expecting like Arc in the Black with the Tomb Blade and that very traditional Constructs type build, and I really think you can kind of throw a wrench into the metagame a bit when you bring SETTRA on horseback. So SETTRA on horse does have a bonus versus large, I think of 20, yeah, it looks like a 20, 470 weapon strength, really good AP, and solid combat stats. So if you have SETTRA and two Tomb Princes, you're going to be having a pretty strong goon squad, and it's very similar to the builds you guys have seen me play, using, what is his name, Benedict Cumberbatch or Teclis for the High Elves and the double Nobles, except you don't have Nets, unfortunately. But you have some pretty good buffs. You have the Blessed Blade of Petra, which makes him quite a monster of a duelist. It blinds the enemy, lowering their melee attack and melee defense, which then really allows your nobles to get in there and do some heavy damage. So that's pretty much it for my army composition. In the back line, I do have two groups of Tomb Guard with halberds, so in case you had like some very heavy Shaggoths or things like that, and they were able to overwhelm SETTRA. Because I think if Kolak had like a Dragon Ogre Shaggoth, a Deathcaster, and then like a regular, in Kolak Force, I feel like that could be a little bit tricky for even for a goon squad this powerful. So that's pretty much it for my army. For my opponent, he does have some Marauder Horsemen on the low ground coming up here to kind of harass my flank, it looks like. He has some Poison Warhounds out here. It looks like he does have two groups of Dragon Ogres, which do a pretty good job, actually. I've never been a huge fan of these guys, but I've had them used against me to pretty good effect, so perhaps I just need to kind of experiment a little bit. But they do tend to get a really good surround, so whereas like a regular Dragon Ogre doesn't have to worry about that, these guys obviously are going to get mucked up by infantry and things like that, but if there is nothing interfering, I found that these guys can actually do pretty well against single targets because they get a good surround, can get a lot of attacks in, and are pretty strong in their own right. For his front line, Chaos Marauders on the outside is probably looking to get around and go after archers or Ushabti great bows. In the center, he does have two groups of Chosen with halberds, so this is something you do see pretty often in this matchup because they're very good against elite constructs, they're good against Ushabti, they're good against Necrosphinxes, Iroh Titans, all that kind of stuff, so I definitely like this. Arc in the Black can punish this very badly, but with SETTRA, it's going to be a little bit harder. So without further ado, guys, let's get this show on the road. And yes, my opponent does indeed have Archaon, the Sometimes Chosen. He has the Burning Skull, which is actually really good against my build, because I went very, very skeleton heavy. So he did come up the hill here with the Marauder Horsemen, and my Skeleton Archers were able to do a ton of damage. So you can see that one group of Marauder Horsemen down to about 40% HP, and is definitely not having a good time. And meanwhile, the Skeletons are going to be pushing forward. The Kepra Guard, I was like, all right, we just need someone to take the brunt of these Chosen, so the Kepra Guard will be going in there and, taking one for the team. In the meantime, the Ushabti going after some of the easier targets here, so just these Marauders, because they're going to get wrecked real quick by these Ushabti. And the Skeleton Warriors are just going to take the brunt of these Chaos Warriors here, and then as soon as these Marauders are done for, which will be very, very quick, the Ushabti can then kind of pour over and deal with them. So in the back, my opponent getting some Hounds around, he does have his Marauder Horsemen, and I'm just playing very defensively, because I know I do have Missile play, so I can afford to take a little bit longer. But the Dragon Ogre is coming in, and that's going to be a pretty decent answer to my Ushabti here. So the Ushabti don't have any support, so this was a bit of a mistake. The Dragon Ogres are definitely going to go to Pound Town on those guys. Do they have anti-large? I think Dragon Ogres do. So they do have a bonus versus large, so they definitely have a huge advantage in that matchup. Same thing on the other side. The Ushabti are attacked by his Dragon Ogres, so I'm going to have to be pulling some reinforcements. So my Tomb Guard with halberds are going to be marching forward. A Burning Skull from Archaon actually doing a ton of damage. So it did roast one group of Skeleton Archers. Thankfully, I did see it coming, so I was able to move my Blessed Legion of Demonetization a little bit out of the way so I don't take as much damage, but it looks like the skull kind of was at an angle where it hit them anyway, so I probably should have just stayed down here. But you know what? We tried. So this is actually the big catch. So Archeon came in, and a lot of people underestimate this, and SETTRA, obviously, with the Blessed Blade, is able to apply those debuffs. So Archeon is down to 52-33, which is still really good when you consider it, but Archeon just took a huge burst of damage. My two Tomb Princes here are able to charge in. I still do have my Tomb Blades in reserve, so I can definitely do some good work. So Archeon is in the wrong neighborhood, and SETTRA has 76, 76, 76, so my opponent, realizing he can't get away, is probably just going to fight to the end, because even if Archeon tried to run, all my Cav are faster than him. So he's in a bit of trouble. So he tries to get his Poison Hounds over here. They do get caught up on my archers. You can see Archeon, the Sometimes Chosen, is running, and the Tomb Princes are hot in pursuit. You can see they have 76 speed. You would think that like the Lord of the End Times would have a horse that's like faster than some Haggard skeleton horse, but alas, the Lord of the End Times has fallen to SETTRA and the Goon Squad. So that's gone pretty well for me. The leadership situation, obviously, is very, very powerful, on my end of the spectrum here. But my opponent actually was able to outplay me at the same time. So while I was able to get his Lord, he got his two Dragon Princes, or Dragon Ogres, whatever, Dragon Princes. Dragon Ogres here are able to get in there and smash my Ushapti. So both of my Ushapti groups just got taken to town. And obviously, it's Chosen with Halberds are just chewing through my front line. So where I have the leadership advantage, maybe some mobility advantage with these Tomb Princes, he's able to just crush down my front line. So at this point, I have to pull my auxiliary troops, my Tomb Guards, who will hold for a long time. They're rocking about 50 melee defense, so they're definitely not pushovers. So we're just fighting here, and this is a good situation, I mean, for both of us. The Dragon Ogres will do a lot of damage against my Tomb Princes, but SETTRA and the Tomb Princes also do have anti-large themselves, so it's not a bad trade. So my opponent is pushing back here with the Dragon Ogres, and I'm going to be pulling forward my Halberds. You can see the Halberds here are able to intercept and grab the AI controls of these dragons and kind of force them into combat. And I was able to secure the back line. So you can see his Marauder Horseman got punished. His Hounds also took quite a bit of damage. So right now I'm just rerouting my Skeleton Spears. And, you always want to at least have something defending your archers if there's still kind of things roaming on the battlefield before you commit your auxiliary troops. So he's trying to outmaneuver me here with the Dragon Ogres, and I'm just getting my Skeleton Spears, reforming ranks. And I do have my summoned Ushapti. So I'm able to use those guys, and I'm getting some really good overwatch on these Dragon Ogres. My Skeleton Archers obviously doing very well against the light armor of those dragons. So the Hounds are coming in the back. The Skeleton Spears are able to intercept, and it looks like they just ran right through those Skeletons. That's pretty funny. But the Hounds will go down pretty quick, just to the sheer numbers. And what's nice about Tomb Kings is they are unbreakable, so I don't really have to worry about my archers routing away from my defenses and then being feasted upon. So SETTRA is doing a pretty good job versus the Dragon Ogres. You can see these ones took a lot of damage versus the Tomb Princes. Balance of Power is still very even, despite him having lost his Lord. And the only reason I think the Balance of Power is in my favor right now is because of the Summoned Ushapti. So the Summoned Ushapti doing a very, very good job. Unfortunately, there are some Chosen. I figured I had Tomb Guard here and other things kind of supporting, but really my front line and even these Tomb Guard just buckle so quick against those elite Chaos troops, so it's a little bit tough to keep those boys alive. Some of his Hounds are routing off here, which is good, and my backline is finally getting a little bit secure, so I still felt a lot of pressure. The 12 Dragon Ogres here, he does also have 5, so I was like, I need to get my bearings. So my Skeleton Archers, I'm just going to put them back here, get them as much separation as they can before I turn and start shooting, and hopefully these Skeleton Spears can clean up these Marauder Horsemen, who obviously aren't going to last terribly long. So the Marauders are fleeing off the battlefield, but this is really the battle of battles. So SETTRA is fighting pretty hard over here. He has the support of the Tomb Princes, who I use the Dejav's Incantation with the Curse Blades to give them some weapon augmentation, and also heal my Skellies up. And you can see the what is that called? The Wrath of Patrol going off. It does actually some pretty good knockback against some Marauders and some of the Horsemen and low-tier troops. And you can see SETTRA and the Tomb Princes are actually putting up a great fight versus these Dragon Ogres. So I'm really a big fan of SETTRA on horseback. I feel like that's one of the more optimal, cost-effective builds there. So SETTRA does drop below 50% HP, which is going to trigger the curse. So all the Dragon Ogres and other troops here are now taking quite a bit of damage. And you can see the Skeleton Archers are also providing some overwatch. I still have the two Princes who are pretty healthy, and I think I still have both of their curses. So right there you can see I popped the Curse of Dejav, which is going to give negative 26 melee attack to these Dragon Ogres. Again, one of my Princes was low enough to use it, and the Tomb Strike, which causes terror and just does a ton of damage. So my Goon Squad is actually able to win out there. So you can see the Dragon Ogres get chased off, but my opponent still has a lot. He has Chaos Warriors, he also has some Chosen over here, so he has 60 Chosen. It looks like 28 Chaos Warriors right there. These Marauders are probably going to be pretty much useless, but my Skeletons are still here, so they can shoot in. But man, I do not have a lot of great options for those Chosen, even though, it looks pretty good for me, because my Tomb Princes are, going to take a ton of damage from those anti-large halberds. So just to be really safe, I decided to pull SETTRA back because he's very low, and Tomb Kings are one of those armies like Vampire Counts that if you lose your Lord, it can be a little bit stressful. Granted, I think their base leadership is a bit higher than the Vampire Counts in general. So he does have some Chosen coming, so I have to get some Skeleton Spears to intercept, and you can see, look at them, they're all running in that same formation. It's pretty funny. But the Halberds are going to come in and just monster mash these guys. They're probably going to only hold for like 30 or 40 seconds, if even. But again, they have 100 models, give or take, so they should be able to kind of muck them up. So in the meantime, SETTRA is going to be leading his forces through the snowy waste here, and definitely a pretty cool looking map. I always like these ones because it forces players out of artillery style play. But anyway, SETTRA is going to be fending off the Chaos Warriors, who I knew didn't have like the great, anti-large halberd, so I'm able to get in there with my nobles and cleave some of these guys. And you can see they get sent back to the Shadow Realm. In the meantime, the Skeleton Warriors here, I do pop the Narrow's Incantation of Protection, giving them 44% physical resist, which I really needed because, again, once the Westfold falls over here, where were you when the Westfold fell? Yeah, once these skeleton spears are able to fall to these chosen here, it's going to be a little bit scary for my skeleton. So I get a good rear charge. SETTRA and company coming in, the Wrath of Petra coming, and you can see some of those chosen are sent flying by the great SETTRA, the Imperishable. And it is just a dogfight right now. Balance of Fire is definitely my favorite. And I can only imagine how tough it would have been if Archaon had gotten a few more casts off. Thankfully, we were able to get him a little bit earlier. So in the meantime, the halberds are falling back right here, trying to get in front of these Dragon Ogres. I saw them beelining for my archers, so you can see they're turning about face here. And they're just going to start shooting off. You can see the Blessed Legion. In my halberds, I knew the Dragon Ogres were close, so I turned, and I'm pretty sure I braced it the last second, which is going to kind of break their charge bonus. But I think they were charging at the archers anyways. So the halberds should be able to finish those guys off, or at least push them back. And the archers obviously just wasting them. So definitely pretty fun using skeleton archers after just kind of seeing all the Shopti Great Bow spam. I actually think they do have a pretty decent matchup in a lot of different circumstances here. So the skeleton archers, pretty good shape. 87 models here. I have 62 here. The chosen are taking no damage though. I think since we started fighting them, we took out like 10 models here, and they've just monster matched my skeletons. They force back SETTRA. One of my Tomb Princes, I think, did die actually, because I think he overcharged on the horseback and got like stuck in the middle of these chosen here. So in the meantime, the chosen doing a pretty good job just kind of working down those skeletons. My opponent does have some chosen with halberds coming back as well, some 40 Chaos Warriors. So man, Balance of Power is actually just inch by inch just going back towards the middle. So it keeps going in my favor, but then coming back as those chosen just kind of work their way through everything. And we do have additional Chaos Warriors here, so they're not braced. So I figured, hey, let's get in there, get a little charge with my Tomb Prince. I pop Tomb Strike, which gives them terror also. And ironically, chosen are not immune to psychology. I feel like if anyone in the Warhammer universe would be, it would be these chosen monstrosities of the Chaos Gods, who are literally like some of the look at these guys. You think they're afraid of anything? I don't think so. But anyways, the Chaos Dragon Ogres are coming back in here. Some of these chosen with halberds. But thankfully, I do have Tomb Guard with halberds, who have really good AP values. They're not the best against other infantry, but at least they can get through that, very heavy armor. So the Dragon Ogres come back in. SETTRA is very low. I did pop the Blessed Blade of Petra here to give him a little bit of a stat advantage, but I really need to just pick off those Dragon Ogres. So I'm actually out of ammunition, but at the last second, I do pop the Curse of the Jaff with my Tomb Prince here. It was very low. I was kind of holding it, just waiting for the time where I really needed to protect SETTRA, and to be able to rampage to those Dragon Ogres and keep them from getting too crunk. Well, there's a lot of chosen here. You can see that there's actually 40 of them, but I do get a nice little rear charge here. The Skeleton Archers, the Blessed Legion of Demonetization, who actually doesn't have the worst stats. 20, 24, 20 for a skeleton, isn't bad. So they're going to be fighting off the chosen. The Tomb Prince is in there, and at that point, most of my opponent's forces are just broken by army losses, and I think he actually just bowed out. So well played to my opponent. It was quite a battle. And Archaon Never Chosen definitely got caught in a pretty bad situation early, but that also shows the strength of the SETTRA Goon Squad. You can really burn down powerful, sturdy lords very, very quickly. And Archaon's relatively slow too, so he only has like 66 speed. So I think my opponent may have been expecting Archaon the Black, who Archaon obviously couldn't do much to Archaon, and Archaon can outrun most constructs. So I think that it ended up being a little bit tough with the Tomb Princes with the 76 movement speed. He could hide amongst his infantry, but for the most part, it was a little bit dicey for the Never Chosen over there. But SETTRA did a pretty good job in the matchup. And if you're going very wide with like skeleton style armies, I think SETTRA is a pretty good choice because the Realm of Souls, or not Realm of Souls, what is it called? I don't know, whatever the passive is for the Lore of Nehekara, he gives very good buffs, and I guess it just heals non-construct units. So if you have like Tomb Guards and the Kepra Guard and a bunch of skeletons, it seems to be pretty effective. Shopti were pretty good. I misplayed them pretty hard. I should have pulled them back and stood them on top of my halberds, but I didn't really give the attention that was deserved to the Dragon Ogres. I just kind of ignored them, and ultimately it made it a very close game. So very well played to my opponent, Slade X. Look forward to running into again on ladder, and hopefully you guys enjoyed this showdown between SETTRA and Archaon. Have an excellent night, guys, and take care.